Marcus had always been drawn to the desert. Other people avoided it because of the heat, the shifting dunes, and the strange silence that stretched for miles. But for Marcus, the desert was alive with mystery. He liked walking under the burning sun, listening to the wind carry the grains of sand and wondering what secrets lay hidden beneath the endless sea of gold. Many old ruins from lost ages were buried out there. Some said entire cities had been swallowed by the shifting ground. He was not a scholar or a scientist. He was just a young man from one of the small desert cities. He survived by trading herbs, bones, and strange objects he found in the sands. It was a hard life, but he never complained. He carried water, food, and a small pickaxe wherever he went. Most days he returned home with nothing special, just scraps and broken pieces of the past. But one morning, when the sun rose red above the dunes, Marcus noticed something unusual shining faintly under the sand. At first he thought it was a piece of glass or metal from an old ruin. But when he brushed more sand away, he realized the surface was smooth, wide, and strangely curved. He knelt down and struck it gently with his pickaxe. The sound that echoed was not like stone. It was deep, metallic, and strong. His heart raced. This was no broken pot or ancient wall. This was something larger. Hours passed as Marcus dug with his bare hands. The more he uncovered, the more his excitement grew. Beneath the sand lay a structure too vast to understand. It was silver gray, almost like polished stone but not rusted or broken like normal ruins. It had strange lines carved into its body, flowing like veins. The desert wind howled around him, but Marcus barely noticed. He kept digging until his arms ached and sweat soaked his clothes. By late afternoon, the outline of a giant hull appeared. It curved upward and disappeared again into the dunes. It looked like the body of a massive beast resting under the sand. Marcus stumbled backward, breathing hard. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. It looked like a ship, but how could a ship be here hundreds of miles from the sea? Curiosity pushed away his doubt. He returned the next day and the day after that, bringing more tools and water. Each day he uncovered more of the strange machine. It became clear that it was not a sea ship. The shape was different, sleek, sharp, built not for water but for something else. He noticed symbols engraved near one of the panels. They were not like any writing he had seen in the city. On the fourth day, something unexpected happened. As Marcus brushed sand away from what looked like a door, he pressed his palm against the cool surface. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath his feet. The metal glowed faintly under his hand and a deep hum filled the air. Marcus froze, his breath caught in his throat. The glowing line spread outward like veins of light crawling across the buried structure. Then a voice spoke. It was calm, strong, and filled with weight. "Good to serve you again, Admiral." Marcus stumbled back, nearly falling into the sand. His eyes went wide. The words had not come from a person. They came from the ship itself. He stood there in shock, heart pounding. He had never been called Admiral before. He was no leader, no warrior. He was just a desert wanderer. He whispered nervously, Who said that?" The voice returned, steady and respectful. "This is the starship Eidolon, systems dormant for 512 years, awaiting your command, Admiral." Marcus blinked, confused and terrified. A starship? He had heard old stories told by traveling elders about a time when humans flew among the stars. But those were tales from long before the collapse, long before his people lived only in scattered cities with little technology. Could this be one of those lost machines? He placed his hand back on the surface, trembling. I'm not an admiral." There was silence for a moment. Then the voice replied, "Genetic markers confirm lineage. You carry the blood of Admiral Lucian Kyle. That is sufficient. Welcome back, Commander." Marcus did not know the name, but something stirred in his chest. Could it be true? Could one of his ancestors have commanded this massive ship? He tried to make sense of it, but his mind spun. The door he had been digging around suddenly hissed. Sand slid away as hidden mechanisms awoke. Slowly, the panel rose upward, revealing a dark corridor beyond. A faint blue glow lit the inside, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Marcus stood at the threshold, torn between fear and wonder. His instincts told him to run back to the safety of his city. But another part of him, stronger, whispered that he had uncovered something important, something meant for him. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside. The air was cool, untouched by the desert heat. The walls were smooth and lined with the same glowing veins of light. As he walked forward, the floor lit up beneath his feet, guiding his steps. He felt like a child entering a temple of the old gods. The voice spoke again, echoing softly. "Admiral, the galaxy has changed much since your absence. Systems damaged, repairs required, but together we can rise again." Marcus swallowed hard. He had no idea what the voice meant. But he knew one thing for certain. The desert had given him a discovery far greater than anything he had ever dreamed. A ship from the stars had awoken, and it believed he was its commander. Outside, the desert winds carried the sand across the dunes, covering the tracks he had made. The world around him remained silent, unaware that history had just shifted. Marcus stood inside the forgotten ship, his heart beating with a mixture of fear and excitement as the first sparks of destiny lit up the darkness. The adventure had only just begun. Great! Here's part 2, around 1,000 words, of He Found an Old Ship in the Desert. It said, "Good to serve you again, Admiral." 500 years later. Written in third-person style, simple English, interesting and clean. Marcus stood still inside the glowing corridor of the ship, listening to the deep hum that filled the air. It was steady, almost like a heartbeat. The wall seemed alive, pulsing faintly with energy. He touched the smooth surface, and it was warm under his palm. He had stepped into something greater than himself, something far older than his world of dust and ruins. "Admiral, please proceed forward," the voice said again, calm and loyal. "Command bridge is waiting. Limited systems active. Repairs in progress." Marcus swallowed hard. He was no admiral. He was a scavenger who dug bones out of sand. Yet the ship treated him like someone important. He walked slowly, guided by the glowing path on the floor. His footsteps echoed softly in the vast silence. The corridor opened into a wide chamber filled with strange chairs, panels, and glowing screens. Dust coated everything, but when Marcus stepped closer, the screens flickered alive. A central platform rose from the floor, circular and surrounded by symbols. The ship's voice spoke once more. "Bridge systems online. Admiral, we have waited 5 centuries. You have returned." Marcus took a shaky breath. "I'm not who you think I am. I don't even know what this place is." "Your blood remembers," the voice replied. "You are of the Kale line. The command codes accept you. Identity confirmed." Marcus shook his head, but part of him felt a strange pull. Could it be true? Was he really connected to this legendary admiral? He remembered the old stories told by travelers, tales of humans who once crossed the stars leading fleets against alien powers. He never believed them fully. But now, standing in the heart of a living starship, the stories no longer seemed like myths. He sat in the central chair. It felt strange, almost natural, as if it had been shaped for him. Lights brightened and the room came alive. The screens displayed star maps, symbols he couldn't read, and strange clusters of dots. Marcus stared in wonder. What happened to this ship?" he asked. The voice answered, steady and patient. "This vessel is Eidolon, flagship of the Terran fleet. Last orders: protect Earth. Last battle, orbital siege above Proxima Gate. Admiral Kale gave final command to retreat and conceal. Damage sustained. Emergency landing executed on Earth's surface. Systems entered hibernation. Duration: 512 years. Marcus listened, his skin prickling. A great war had been fought, and Earth had fallen silent. The ship had hidden itself in the desert, waiting all this time for someone to return. Humanity? Marcus whispered. What happened to humanity out there? Among the stars? The voice dimmed, almost mournful. Records indicate collapse. Alien alliances feared Terran strength. They enforced exile, isolation protocols. Earth forgotten. Marcus gripped the arms of the chair. So the stories were true. Humanity had once been powerful, but others had feared them and erased their presence. Now his people lived broken, scattered, never knowing the greatness they once had. The ship's voice broke the silence. Admiral, you must decide. Do we awaken fully? The galaxy beyond has changed. Signals detected. Alien presence near Earth system. If discovered, humanity may face danger again. Marcus hesitated. He was no soldier. Yet deep inside, something stirred. A sense of responsibility, perhaps inherited from the blood of his ancestor. Show me, he said softly. At once, the room transformed. Holographic stars filled the chamber, glowing like diamonds. Blue lines traced the paths of fleets. Red lights marked enemy positions. Marcus gasped, watching the galaxy bloom before him. The ship explained in simple words. Borders had shifted, empires had risen, but none had forgotten humanity's old strength. They still watched, ready to crush Earth if it tried to rise again. Your people remain unaware, the ship said, but now with me awakened they will see. Some will fear. Others will follow. Marcus knew it was true. Already in the desert cities, rumors spread quickly. If anyone discovered the glowing ship buried under the sands, there would be panic. Some would call him a liar, others a chosen leader. He leaned back in the chair, trying to calm his racing mind. Why? Why do you call me Admiral? The voice softened. You carry the blood of Lucian Kale. For me, that is enough. My loyalty is eternal. Whether you are the man himself or his descendant, I will serve. You are the link. The chain is unbroken. Marcus closed his eyes. For the first time in his life, he felt both small and powerful at once. The desert scavenger was gone. In his place sat the heir to a forgotten legacy. The ship's voice continued. Repairs are incomplete. We must gather resources. Nearby settlements may provide materials. But discretion is advised. If alien scouts detect our reawakening, conflict is inevitable. Marcus frowned. Aliens here? On Earth? Not yet. But they monitor. They always monitor, the ship replied. That night Marcus left the ship and returned to his city. The walk across the dunes felt different. The stars above seemed brighter, as if they were watching him. His mind was full of questions. Should he keep the discovery secret? Should he tell the elders? Would they believe him? But word spread faster than he expected. A boy from the city had followed him into the desert, curious. He had seen Marcus vanish into the glowing hull and return to tell others. By the time Marcus reached the gates, whispers filled the streets. They say Marcus found a temple under the sand. No, a machine, a great one. He entered, and it spoke to him. Some say he commands it like the prophets of old. Marcus lowered his head, trying to avoid their stares. He wanted to hide, but deep inside he knew hiding was impossible. In the following days, strangers began arriving from other settlements, drawn by the rumors. Some came seeking hope, others out of fear. A few even knelt before him, calling him chosen. Marcus hated the attention, but he could not stop it. Back in the desert, the ship continued to repair itself. Its lights grew stronger each day. It rose slightly from the sand, revealing more of its massive frame. Travelers who saw it from afar began to whisper of a ghost ship awakening. Then one morning Marcus returned to the bridge, and the ship spoke urgently. Admiral, warning. Foreign signals detected. Not human. Not friendly. Approach confirmed. Alien scouts entering Earth atmosphere. Marcus froze. The stories were real. Humanity had been exiled, but the exile was watched. And now those who feared Earth's return had noticed a spark of life in the desert. He gripped the chair, heart pounding. What do we do? The ship's voice deepened, powerful and steady. We fight, Admiral, or we vanish again. The choice is yours. Marcus's hands trembled. He looked at the galaxy maps, the glowing stars and the red lights that marked danger. The desert winds howled outside, but in his heart a fire began to rise. He had found the ship by accident, but maybe it had been waiting for him all along. The time for choice had come. The bridge of the ship glowed brighter than before. Marcus sat in the central chair, his hands gripping the armrests. The holographic stars floated above him, shifting and pulsing. A red warning blinked steadily, showing the approach of something foreign. Admiral. The ship's voice echoed, calm but urgent. Enemy scouts will arrive in minutes. 2 vessels, small but armed. Marcus's throat felt dry. He had never commanded anything larger than a mule cart. Yet now the fate of his people rested on his shoulders. His heart pounded, but the fire inside him grew stronger. He could not run. If he abandoned the ship, the aliens would destroy it and perhaps discover his city. That would mean the end of his people. He took a deep breath. Eidolon, show me what to do. At once the screens changed. Symbols transformed into simple lines and shapes he could understand. 2 glowing dots approached Earth's atmosphere, their paths traced in red. The ship explained, these are scouts of the Velan Dominion. They are watching for Terran reawakening. If they confirm my presence, a fleet will follow. Marcus clenched his fists. Then we can't let them leave. Correct, Admiral. Shall I activate defense systems? Marcus hesitated for a heartbeat, then nodded. Do it. The ship hummed, louder now, as if it had waited centuries to hear those words. Panels opened across its buried hull. Blue light flickered in hidden cannons. Energy surged through the walls, and the desert itself seemed to tremble. Sand rolled away from the rising frame of the great vessel. For the first time in 500 years, the starship Eidolon awakened fully. Marcus stared in awe as the ship lifted from the sand. The dunes roared around it, a storm of dust rising into the sky. From the city in the distance, people gathered at the walls, their eyes wide, watching a legend take shape. They had heard whispers of a buried machine, but now they saw the truth. A warship of the stars had returned. The alien scouts entered the sky. Sleek black shapes cut through the clouds, their engines glowing. They hovered for a moment, scanning the desert. Then one of them turned toward the city. Marcus's chest tightened. Eidolon stopped them. Yes, Admiral. Blue beams of light shot from the ship's cannons, streaking upward. One scout was struck instantly, exploding into fragments that fell burning through the air. The second dodged, weaving through the beams. It fired back, green streaks of energy slicing toward the desert. The ground shook as the blast struck near the dunes. Marcus gritted his teeth. Follow it! Don't let it escape! The ship surged forward, rising high into the sky. Marcus felt his body press into the chair as the ship broke free of the desert winds. For a moment he was weightless, watching the earth curve below him. He had never left the ground before, yet now he flew among the stars. The alien scout twisted and turned, trying to flee. Admiral, the ship said, enemy preparing to transmit. If signal escapes, fleet will come. Marcus slammed his fist on the armrest. Then end it now. The ship obeyed. A cannon glowed brighter, humming like thunder. A single beam lanced through the sky, striking the scout directly. The vessel burst apart in a silent explosion of fire and light. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Marcus stared at the stars, his heart racing. He had just commanded a battle in space, something no one on Earth had done for centuries. The ship spoke steady but proud. Victory achieved, Admiral. Transmission prevented. Earth remains hidden. For now. Marcus leaned back, trembling with relief. But he knew this was only the beginning. The scouts had come for a reason. The galaxy had not forgotten humanity. It was only waiting for the right time to crush it again. The ship continued, we must move. More scouts will come. This planet is no longer safe, Marcus hesitated. The city below was filled with people he knew. Friends, traders, even the children who laughed in the streets. Could he leave them behind? Yet if he stayed, the aliens would surely return with greater force. As if sensing his thoughts, the ship said, Humanity must rise again, Admiral. Your people cannot stay broken forever. With me, you can find the others. More ships like me sleep on distant worlds. Together, they can rebuild the fleet. The choice is yours. Marcus looked down at the earth. The desert glowed softly in the dawn light. His city was a small speck, fragile and unaware of the storm that hovered beyond the stars. He realized then that his discovery was not an accident. The ship had been waiting, patient and silent, for someone of his bloodline to return. His voice was quiet but steady. We can't hide forever. If the galaxy fears us, then we must remind them who we are. The ship responded with a tone that carried pride. As you command, Admiral. Shall I set course? Yes, Marcus whispered. Set course for the stars, the engines roared. The ship rose higher, leaving the Earth's atmosphere behind. The world fell away beneath them, shrinking into a sphere of blue and gold. Marcus felt both fear and wonder as he saw his home from above for the first time. Eidolon's voice spoke again. Admiral, first destination, Proxima Gate. Records suggest possible Terran relics remain. We will search for allies. Humanity's exile ends today. Marcus stared at the vast ocean of stars ahead. The galaxy had forgotten Earth. They thought humanity was weak, broken, and silent. But they were wrong. With each heartbeat, his courage grew stronger. He was no longer just a desert wanderer. He was the heir to a legacy of fire and stars. And now, with Eidolon at his side, the galaxy would soon remember what it meant to awaken a Terran warship. As the stars streaked into lines and the ship jumped forward into the unknown, Marcus whispered to himself, we're coming back.